The rain hammered against my apartment window like it was trying to break through, mirroring the storm raging inside me. But I didn't pick up the phone when it buzzed for the 5th time that morning. Jordan's name flashed on the screen, his photo, a goofy selfie from our last hike up in the Cascades, staring back like an accusation, and I let it go to voicemail, my chest tightening with a mix of anger and something sharper, something I wasn't ready to name. 3 days ago, we'd fought over nothing and everything, words slicing deeper than they should have between best friends who'd shared dorm rooms, heartbreak, and midnight confessions since freshman year at UW. And now, as the Puget Sound churned gray below my balcony, I wondered if ignoring him would finally force the truth out of both of us. I slammed the phone face down on the coffee table, the wood scarred from years of our late-night gaming sessions, and paced the cramped living room of my Capitol Hill walk-up. Seattle had a way of amplifying isolation like this. Endless drizzle turning the streets into slick mirrors that reflected your worst impulses back at you. Jordan and I had crashed here more times than I could count, sprawled on this very couch with takeout pho and bad action flicks, his laughter filling the space like sunlight cutting through fog. But that fight, God, it replayed in my head on loop. We'd been at our favorite dive bar on Pike Street, the one with the neon, open sign flickering like a heartbeat, nursing IPAs after a brutal week at our respective jobs, me grinding away as a graphic designer for a tech startup, him teaching art to middle schoolers in the public system. It started small, a joke about how I'd been dodging dates since my last breakup with that accountant who ghosted me, and Jordan's eyes had lingered a beat too long, his voice dropping low as he said, "Maybe you're looking in the wrong places, Alex." I'd laughed it off, but the air thickened, charged with the unspoken weight of 10 years, and when he leaned in closer than friends should, murmuring something about, "What if it's been here all along?" I panicked. Pushed back. Hard. Accused him of being drunk, of ruining what we had. He left without another word, the door clicking shut like a finality I couldn't unhear. By noon, the apartment felt like a cage, walls closing in with posters of indie bands we'd seen together curling at the edges from humidity. I grabbed my jacket, a ratty denim thing Jordan had patched with a silly embroidered heart years ago, and headed out, the elevator dinging like a reluctant goodbye. Capitol Hill buzzed with its usual eclectic pulse, rainbow flags whipping in the wind outside queer-owned bookstores, baristas slinging oat milk lattes to freelancers tapping away on MacBooks, the scent of street crepes mingling with exhaust. I aimed for the Elliott Bay Book Company, our old haunt, figuring a stack of novels might drown out the guilt gnawing at my ribs. But as I wove through the aisles, fingers trailing spines of queer lit, James Baldwin's essays staring back like they knew my secrets, my phone vibrated again. A text this time. "Alex, please. We need to talk." "I'm sorry." I stared at it until the screen dimmed, thumb hovering over the reply button, heart pounding with the fear that responding would crack open everything I'd buried. Jordan wasn't just my best friend. He was the constant, the one who'd held me through my coming out at 19, when my conservative folks from Spokane cut ties for a year. He'd shown up at my door with a six-pack and a playlist of show tunes, declaring, "Your family now, dumbass. Get used to it." How could I risk that? So I pocketed the phone and bought a dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room. Its pages yellowed like old regrets, heading back into the downpour without answering. That night, sleep evaded me like a bad habit. I tossed on the futon, the city lights filtering through blinds and slivers of neon blue, casting shadows that danced like ghosts of what-ifs. Dreams fragmented. Jordan's hand on my shoulder during our first Pride parade, confetti raining down as we cheered for strangers' joy. The way his eyes crinkled when he sketched me in his notebook, calling it the muse I never asked for. Waking drenched in sweat, I checked my phone. 3 more missed calls, a voicemail thumbnail taunting me. I almost hit play, but the clock read 2:17 a.m., and the silence felt safer than his voice, warm and steady, unraveling me. Day 1 of radio silence stretched into dawn, the coffee maker gurgling like a judgmental ant as I forced down a mug, black and bitter. Work emails piled up, my designs for the startup's app looking half-hearted on the screen, colors bleeding into grays that matched my mood. A coworker, Mia, pinged the Slack. "You okay? Looked like you saw a ghost in that mock-up." I typed back a lame emoji, but inside, the ghost was Jordan, his laugh echoing in the empty spaces of my day. By afternoon, the itch to reach out clawed at me, but pride held firm, a flimsy shield against the vulnerability bubbling up. I laced up my sneakers and hit the trails in Discovery Park, the forest paths muddy from the relentless rain, pines whispering secrets overhead. We'd run these loops together last summer, Jordan challenging me to races. He always let me win, his breath syncing with mine in that effortless rhythm. Pausing at the beach overlook, waves crashing against driftwood like unresolved arguments, I pulled out my phone. No new messages. Relief warred with ache. Had he given up? The thought twisted like a knife, sharper than the chill wind off the sound. I snapped a photo of the horizon, gray meeting gray, and almost sent it to him, our old ritual for thinking of you moments. But I deleted the draft, shoving the device deep into my pocket, and jogged back as thunder rumbled a warning. Evening found me at a low-key open mic in Fremont, the kind where poets spilled their souls over folk guitars, hoping the crowd's raw energy would jolt me out of stasis. I nursed a gin and tonic at the bar, the room hazy with stage smoke and murmured conversations, when a familiar voice cut through, a storyteller mid-set, weaving a tale of lost love reclaimed. And in the quiet after the storm, she said, eyes locking on mine like she could see the fracture lines, you realize the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting for you to fill it. The words landed like punches, and I bolted before the applause, hailing an Uber through sheets of rain that blurred the troll sculpture outside. Home again, I collapsed onto the couch, the book's pages falling open to a passage on denial's cruel weight. The phone stayed dark, but as I drifted off, Jordan's face haunted the edges of sleep, not angry, but hurt, pleading, and achingly beautiful in the way only he could be. The second day dawned with a deceptive break in the clouds, sunlight slanting through my window like an uninvited optimist, but it did nothing to lift the fog in my head. I dragged myself to the office, the startup's co-working space in South Lake Union humming with forced productivity, standing desks creaking, whiteboards scrawled with agile sprints that felt as pointless as my avoidance game. My laptop screen mocked me with unfinished vectors, curves that refused to connect, much like the ones I'd severed with Jordan. A notification popped, his Instagram story, a quick clip of him at the sculpture park, wind tousling his curls as he filmed a heron taking flight over the water. No caption, just the sound of waves and his soft exhale, like a sign meant for me. I watched it 3 times, heart clenching at the vulnerability in that unguarded moment, before archiving it from my feed, out of sight, but never out of mind. Lunch was a solo affair at a food truck pod, the air thick with cumin and grilled halloumi from the falafel stand, but every bite tasted like ash. My phone buzzed mid-rap. A mutual friend, Tyler from our college crew, texting. Dude, Jordan's asking about you. What's the deal? Y'all fighting again? I stared at the screen, thumbs frozen. Tyler had always been the mediator, the one who'd drag us to karaoke after blow-ups, belting out Bohemian Rhapsody until we cracked. But this felt bigger, rooted in the fear that Jordan's what if wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was a key turning in a lock I pretended didn't exist. I replied with a vague, just busy man. Tell him I'm good. And hit send before regret could catch up, the lie settling heavy in my gut like undigested chickpeas. Afternoon blurred into a haze of meetings, my pitch for the app's rebrand falling flat as the founder's feedback droned on. More pop. Alex, less melancholy. If only they knew the source. By 5, I was out, wandering Belltown's galleries on autopilot, the abstract oils on display swirling in colors that screamed emotion I couldn't voice. One piece stopped me cold. 2 figures intertwined in shadow, hands reaching but not quite touching, titled The Space Between. The artist's note read, loneliness isn't absence. It's the echo of what's almost yours. I bought a print on impulse, the cashier wrapping it in brown paper that crinkled like whispered apologies, and carried it home on the bus, the jolts of traffic mirroring my inner turbulence. Dinner was ramen from the corner market, slurped over a binge watch of that sci-fi series we devoured together, the one with the queer leads navigating interstellar drama. Every plot twist hit different now, their stolen glances, the confession under alien stars, mirroring the undercurrent I'd ignored in our own story. Jordan's voicemail from last night finally tempted me. I hit play in the dim kitchen light, his voice filling the room like a bomb and a burn. Alex, I didn't mean to freak you out. It's just, God, you've been my everything since that stupid orientation icebreaker. If I read this wrong, say so. But if not, don't shut me out. Please. Static crackled at the end, his breath ragged, and I replayed it until the words blurred, tears pricking hot against the steam rising from my bowl. Why couldn't I just call back? Pride? Fear of appending the one safe harbor in my messy life? Or was it terror that admitting it, that the flutter in my chest around him wasn't just bromance, would make me as vulnerable as the kid who'd hidden crushes in high school lockers? Night fell with a vengeance, stars hidden behind returning clouds, and I unfolded the print on my wall, pinning it above the futon with thumbtacks that bent under pressure. It watched over me as I scrolled old photos. Us at 20, arms slung around each other at a Mariners game, foam fingers raised in victory. At 23, road tripping the Oregon coast, Jordan's head on my shoulder during a sunset drive. The patterns emerged like constellations I'd overlooked, the way he'd linger in hugs, the inside jokes laced with double meanings, The quiet mornings after sleepovers where his presence felt like home. Sleep came fitful, dreams weaving us into alternate realities where I'd leaned into that bar moment instead of away, waking with his name on my lips and resolve cracking like thin ice. Day two's end left me hollow, the apartment echoing with absence, but a spark of something, defiance, desperation, pushed me out for a walk at midnight. Broadway's nightlife pulsed, drag queens strutting in sequins, couples hand in hand under umbrellas, laughter spilling from comedy clubs. I paused outside our old falafel joint, the window fogged from warmth inside, and imagined Jordan there, sketching patrons with that focused furrow in his brow. A street musician strummed Wicked Game, the lyrics about no one loving you more twisting the knife. I tossed a 5 in his case and kept moving, the rain starting again in earnest, soaking through to skin. Back home, I drafted a text, "We should talk," but deleted it at dawn's first light, the coward's choice. Little did I know, across town, Jordan was unraveling in ways I couldn't fathom, his silence not surrender but a gathering storm. Day 3 cracked open with ferocity, a nor'easter whipping through the sound that rattled my windows and mirrored the gale in my soul. I called in sick to work, the lie slipping easy as I claimed a migraine. But the real ache throbbed deeper, a pulse of regret sinking with the thunder. Coffee burned my tongue as I stared at the wall print, its figures taunting me with their almost touch. And for the first time, I let myself whisper it aloud. What if he's right? The words hung in the air, fragile as hope, but before I could chase them, my phone lit up. Not Jordan, but Tyler again, his message a gut punch. "Alex, get to Harborview now. Jordan's in the ER. Car accident on the 99. He's asking for you." The world tilted, color draining to gray as I grabbed keys and bolted, the stairwell a blur of pounding feet and rising bile. Traffic clotted the viaduct like veins in crisis, horns blaring futile rage as I white-knuckled the wheel, rain sheeting the windshield in relentless assault. Flashes assaulted me. Jordan's laugh on that same highway last fall, windows down, belting Springsteen as evergreens blurred by. The bar fights echo my harsh "you're imagining things," landing like shrapnel. Harborview loomed like a monolith, its ER entrance a chaos of stretchers and sobs, and I shoved through doors that whooshed open on hydraulics, breath ragged as I demanded his room from the triage nurse. "Family only," she said, eyes softening at my wild plea. "He's my everything." She relented, pointing down a hall that smelled of antiseptic and despair, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets. Tyler met me at the elevator, his face ashen, stubble shadowing, jaw clenched tight. Slippery roads, some asshole cut him off near the tunnel. Airbags saved him, but his legs busted, compound fracture, and they think concussion. He's stable, man, but he was wrecked when they brought him in. Kept mumbling your name. Guilt crashed over me, wave after wave. As Tyler led me to the curtained bay, the beeps of monitors a grim symphony. There he was, Jordan, pale against starched sheets, auburn curls matted with sweat, a brace immobilizing his right leg elevated on pillows, for lines snaking to his arm like accusations. His eyes, those hazel depths I drowned in 1,000 times without admitting it, fluttered open at my approach, widening in shock then softening to something raw, unguarded. "Alex." His voice cracked, hoarse from tubes or terror, hand twitching toward mine on the bed rail. I collapsed into the visitor chair, grasping it like a lifeline, words tumbling in a flood. "I'm here. God, Jordan, I'm so sorry. For the fight, for ghosting you. These stupid 3 days. I was scared, okay? Scared of what you said, because if it's true, if I feel it too." Tears blurred him, but he squeezed my fingers, pull weak but insistent, drawing me closer until our foreheads touched, breaths mingling in the sterile air. "It is true," he whispered, thumb tracing my knuckles in that familiar, electric way. "Always has been, from the first dumb joke in psych class. But you were worth waiting for." Nurses bustled past, oblivious to the universe realigning in that dim cubicle, and as the storm outside eased to patter, I let the walls crumble, pressing a kiss to his temple, soft, tentative, the start of everything. Hours blurred in that vigil, doctors updating on surgery scheduled for dawn, pain meds dulling his edges, but not the spark in his gaze when it met mine. Tyler slipped out for coffee, giving us space, and in the quiet, stories spilled. His, of pining through years of just friends, sketching my portrait in secret journals. Mine, of misreading butterflies as brotherly love, fearing loss more than loneliness. Laughter broke through tears when he admitted the bar lean-in was fueled by liquid courage and a lifetime of almosts. And I confessed the hoodie patch wasn't just sentimental. It was my talisman against the world. By midnight, exhaustion claimed him, but not before he murmured, "Don't go," and I settled beside the bed, hand in his, the monitor's rhythm lulling me into the deepest sleep in days, dreams now woven with possibility instead of phantoms. Morning light filtered through slatted blinds as surgeons prepped him, wheeling the gurney past with Jordan's free hand waving weakly, eyes locked on mine like anchors. "Wait for me," he asked, voice steady despite the fear flickering beneath. "Always," I promised, the words sealing vows unspoken, and watched them disappear around the corner, heart swelling with a fierce, protective love I denied too long. The waiting room became my outpost, vending machine coffee a poor substitute for his warmth, but Tyler's arrival with bagels and solidarity steadied me. "About time, Romeo," he teased, clapping my shoulder, and for once, the label fit, not as a punchline, but a truth. Surgery stretched into an eternity of thumbed magazines and pacing linoleum, each tick of the wall clock amplifying the what-ifs I'd buried under denial. When the doctor emerged, scrubs crisp, mask dangling, she delivered the verdict with clinical calm. Pins in place, clean breaks mended, a long rehab ahead, but full recovery likely. Relief buckled my knees, and I texted Mia at work a vague update. Her reply a flurry of hearts, and take all the time. Jordan woke groggy in recovery, morphine haze softening his features, but his first grope from my hand grounded him, pulling me into a world remade. "Feels like a dream," he slurred, fingers interlacing with mine. "You here, like this." I brushed damp curls from his forehead, voice thick. "Nightmare if I wasn't. Never again." Transfer to a room meant semi-private purgatory, a shared space with beeping neighbors, but we carved privacy in whispers and stolen glances, the curtain our flimsy fortress. Afternoon brought visitors. His sister from Tacoma, arriving with balloons and bear hugs, her knowing wink over Jordan's head saying she'd long suspected. My mom, reconciled post coming out, bearing homemade lemon bars and a quiet, "He's a keeper, kiddo," her Spokane accent wrapping approval like a quilt. Stories flowed freer now, family weaving into our tapestry, Jordan recounting how he'd confided in his sis years ago, her advice to just tell him before it's too late, now prophetic. Laughter echoed when Mom shared embarrassing freshman pics, us gap-toothed and awkward, the room warming against the chill of four poles. Discharge loomed by week's end, but rehab first. A transfer to a facility in Ballard, closer to his apartment, but worlds from mine in Capitol Hill. I insisted on driving, navigating rainy streets with his wheelchair folded in the trunk, the wipers swiping rhythm like hesitant metronomes. His place, a cozy converted warehouse loft with exposed brick and canvases leaning like sentinels, smelled of turpentine and takeout, sunlight slanting through skylights onto a bed piled with quilts we'd scavenged at flea markets. I fussed over setup, ramp borrowed from a neighbor, groceries stocked with his favorites, avocado toast fixings, dark chocolate, ginger tea for nausea. "You don't have to play nurse," he protested, crutches propped nearby, but his eyes betrayed gratitude, that soft glow I'd mistaken for platonic affection now blazing clear. Evenings settled into intimate routine, me cooking simple meals on his hot plate, him sketching from the couch with one hand, caricaturing my domestic god phase with exaggerated aprons. Conversations delved deeper, his fears of unrequited love mirroring my own post-breakup walls. Both of us navigating the queer Seattle scene, where hookups abounded, but connections felt fleeting. I dated around, he admitted over stir-fry, fork pausing midair, but it was always you in the back of my mind, like a benchmark no one met. Vulnerability hung sweet, and I shared my ghosts. The ex who called our bond too intense, the family rifts that made trust a battlefield. Kisses evolved tentative to tender, mapping new territories, his collarbone under lamplight, my palm against his stubbled jaw, each one a reclamation of lost time. One night, storm sirens wailing outside, power flickered, plunging us into candlelit intimacy. Propped on pillows, leg elevated, he traced my arm with fingers calloused from pencils. "That fight, it gutted me, Alex. Thought I'd lost you for good." Thunder punctuated his words, and I pulled him closer, careful of bruises blooming purple on his ribs. "You almost did, because I was blind. But seeing you in that bed, it shattered everything. You're not just my best friend, you're my why." Lips met in the glow, slow and searching, the world narrowing to heartbeats sinking against flannel sheets. We didn't rush. Rehab and recovery demanded patience. But in that flicker, love solidified, not fragile but forged in fire. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of appointments and stolen joys. Physical therapy sessions where I'd spot his balances, cheering like a fool as he took wobbly steps. Coffee runs to Victrola, our mugs clinking in toast to us. Pride flags dotted the streets as June approached, a reminder of journeys begun in confetti and cheers, now culminating in quiet revolutions. His art flourished, portraits of us emerging from charcoals, lines fluid with emotion, and I redesigned my portfolio with bolder palettes, colors echoing the vibrancy he'd reignited. Yet beneath the healing, shadows lingered, my anxiety over what now? His hesitation born of past rejections. One evening, as sunset painted the loft in golds, he voiced it. This, us, it's real, right? Not just accident adrenaline. I cupped his face, steady, realer than rain in Seattle. We're building, Jordan, brick by intentional brick. Summer unfurled in Seattle's rare, golden haze, the kind that lured picnickers to Gasworks Park and softened the edges of our budding normalcy. Jordan's rehab progressed in fits and starts, crutches traded for a cane, then tentative unaided strides across his loft floor, each milestone celebrated with takeout from our Pike Place favorites, salmon chowder steaming in bowls, shared bites laced with flirtation. I split time between my apartment and his, the commute a meditative blur of podcasts on queer history, Audre Lorde's words on love as survival echoing my own awakening. Work noticed my glow, Mia cornering me in the kitchenette. Spill, glow stick. That sick day payoff. I grinned, vague on details but effusive on the shift, her high-five sealing office allyship. Yet intimacy brought its tempests. One humid night, after a grueling PT session left him cursing under his breath, frustration boiled over. I hate this, needing you like this, feeling like dead weight. He slumped on the edge of the bed, came clattering to the floor, eyes downcast. I knelt before him, hands on knees, voice low. You're not weight, you're wonder. We've carried each other before. This is just the visible part. But doubt lingered, my own insecurities whispering that pity, not passion, fueled my devotion. We talked it out till stars pricked the skylight. Vulnerabilities aired like laundry on the line. His fear of being the broken one in a world quick to discard. My terror of loving too fiercely, only to lose. Dawn found us tangled in sheets, exhaustion yielding to affirmation. Kisses that mapped scars, both seen and unseen, reaffirming that love wasn't flawless but fierce. Adventures beckoned as mobility improved. A ferry ride to Bainbridge, salt spray kissing our faces as we leaned on the rail, watching Orcus breach in the distance. Like us, he murmured, arm around my waist, surfacing after too long submerged. Laughter bubbled as we hiked easy trails, his hand in mine a natural anchor, strangers' glances sliding past without judgment in this city of live and let love. Back home, creativity sparked, joint projects blooming. Me designing logos for his art classes, him illustrating my app concepts with whimsical flair. Tyler hosted a reunion barbecue at his Queen and Deck, our crew toasting with craft beers, ribbing us gently. Took you long enough, lovebirds. Pride weekend amplified it all, parade floats thumping bass through downtown, rainbow banners waving like welcomes home. We marched hand in hand, Jordan's sign reading love ignored, now embraced, drawing cheers that swelled my chest, a public vow amid the confetti storm. But growth unearthed roots, a call from my folks, probing about that friend from the accident, their tone laced with cautious curiosity post-reconciliation. I came out anew over FaceTime, Jordan beside me sketching idly, his presence bolstering as I navigated their silences into questions. He's more than a friend, Mom. He's my partner. Tears on her end, then hugs promised for a visit, the bridge mending stronger. Jordan's family mirrored it, his sister dragging us to family dinners in Tacoma, her kids clamoring for Uncle Alex stories, acceptance woven into pie crusts and board games. These threads wove security, but a shadow loomed, my lease expiring, the unspoken pull toward cohabitation. One crisp August eve, as leaves hinted at autumn's approach, we broached it on his balcony, city lights twinkling below like conspirators. Move in, he asked, casual as proposing pizza toppings, but eyes earnest. I hesitated, old fears surfacing. The loss of independence, the weight of forever after flight. What if we mess it up? Like really up? He pulled me close, chin on my shoulder. Then we fix it. Together. That's the point, Alex. Not perfection, but persistence. The words unlocked something, and by morning, boxes were packed, my life folding into his with the ease of puzzle pieces long mismatched. Fall painted Seattle in russets and golds, our merged loft a canvas of compromise, my gaming setup beside his easel, shared closets bulging with hoodies and paint-splattered tees. Cohabitation's quirks charmed, his habit of leaving charcoal smudges on the fridge, my playlists dominating morning routines, but deeper rhythms synced, lazy Sundays tracing tattoos with fingertips, whispered, I love yous, over breakfast burritos. Work thrived, my designs landed a client win, His classes inspired a student mural that made local news. Yet humanity's underbelly intruded. A colleague's casual biphobia at a happy hour, met with my firm call-out, Jordan's proud text later, my hero, fueling resolve. We volunteered at a youth center, sharing stories with LGBTQ plus teens navigating their own silences, the mirror of our past amplifying gratitude for the present. As Thanksgiving neared, a quiet epiphany struck during a hike in Rattlesnake Ledge. Overlooking the misty valleys, hand in his, I realized the accident hadn't just shown why I shouldn't ignore him. It illuminated why I'd never truly been alone. Love, it turned out, wasn't a revelation but a recognition, patient in its pursuit. Winter wrapped Seattle in its damp embrace, holiday lights strung like promises across gray skies, but our warmth defied the chill. The loft transformed into a nest of twinkle strands and mistletoe. Jordan's doing, his artist eye turning tinsel into magic, while I manned the kitchen, burning the first batch of gingerbread before we salvaged it with laughter and rum-spiked cider. Family converged, my parents driving up from Spokane, tentative at first but thawing over board games. Dad's gruff, treat 'em right, son, a milestone etched in my heart. Jordan's clan filled the space with chaos. Niece's finger-painting ornaments, his mom's apple pie recipe yielding flaky perfection, and in the melee, belongings solidified, roots intertwining beyond blood. New Year's Eve found us at a rooftop party in Belltown, fireworks blooming over the sound as we kissed at midnight, champagne bubbles fizzing like the spark between us. Resolutions whispered, his, to exhibit his portraits in a local gallery, mine, to pitch a queer-focused design series. Ambition fueled us, late nights with laptops and sketchpads, mutual encouragement the glue. But vulnerability revisited in subtle waves, a nightmare jolting him awake, accident echoes replaying in sweat-soaked sheets, my arms pulling him close until breaths evened. You're safe, I'd murmur, tracing his pulse. We both are now. Therapy joined our toolkit, separate sessions unpacking baggage, joint ones forging tools for the road ahead, turning scars to strengths. Spring erupted in cherry blossoms blanketing the U District, our walks hand in hand, a ritual of renewal. Jordan's show debuted at a Fremont co-op, his series Echoes Unheard, drawing crowds. Canvases of us in abstracted forms, titles like 3 Days Silence, evoking gasps and tears. I stood beside him at the opening, pride swelling as collectors bid, his whisper, "This is ours," grounding the surreal. My pitch landed too. A campaign for a trans advocacy app, bold graphics earning acclaim, and a raise that funded our first getaway. A cabin in the Olympics, where hikes yielded to hearthside confessions, love deepening in isolation's clarity. Yet life's plot twists persisted. A flare-up in his leg during a rainy trail run, forcing a cane's return, and my guilt over pushing too hard. Not your fault, he insisted, but frustration simmered, testing patience. We navigated with grace, shorter outings, more couch snuggles, emerging tighter, resilience a shared superpower. Community anchored us. Volunteering evolved to mentoring a teen art group, Jordan guiding brushes while I facilitated design workshops, witnessing sparks of self-discovery that mirrored our own. One kid's shy, "Thanks for showing it's possible," lingered, a reminder of our story's ripple. Summer circled back, hotter and bolder, our anniversary marked with a picnic at Green Lake, strawberries and sandwiches, a playlist of our shared anthems. As dusk fell, he pulled a small box from his pack. Not a ring, but matching pendants, steel links etched with coordinates of that waterfront pier from our first real talk post-hospital. "To the spaces we bridge," he said, clasping mine around my neck. Tears blurred the swans gliding by, and I pulled him down to the blanket. Kisses urgent under emerging stars. "To us," I echoed, the word encompassing the journey, from ignored calls to unbreakable vows. Maturity bloomed in the mundane, budgeting for a down payment on a house in Wallingford, green space for future dreams, navigating a work conflict where I advocated for inclusive hiring, Jordan's letters of support bolstering my case. Losses tempered joys, a friend's battle with illness rallying our circle in hospital vigils, gratitude sharpening our grip on now. Through it, love proved not fairy tale but foundation, messy, mending, magnificently ours. As fall leaves crunched underfoot once more, reflecting on that fateful 3 days, I marveled at the humanity in our haste. The kinks in communication that nearly cost us, redeemed by courage's quiet call. We'd ignored signals, but in showing up, we'd illuminated truths. Love demands presence, not perfection. Friendships can flower into forever if watered with honesty. Jordan's hand in mine on a crisp evening stroll, the city humming around us, I squeezed tight. "Worth every storm," I said, He smiled, that crinkle-eyed one that started it all. And every sunrise after. 2 years post-accident, Seattle's rhythm had woven us inseparable. Our Wallingford craftsman, a haven of hardwood floors and sun-dappled walls. Jordan's studio in the attic spilling charcoal dust downstairs to my home office. Mornings began with coffee shared on the porch swing, his head on my shoulder as we planned the day, his curriculum for a high school art elective, my freelance gigs for nonprofits amplifying queer voices. Life's tapestry enriched, a puppy adopted from the shelter, a scruffy mutt named Echo for the calls we'd once ignored, her wagging chaos a joyful counterpoint to our steady hum. Challenges evolved, not absent. A gallery rejection stinging Jordan's confidence, met with my bolstering sketches of his genius in gestation. My freelance drought testing finances, eased by his side hustle teaching workshops, our piggy bank a testament to teamwork. Family milestones deepened bonds. My sister's wedding where we stood as brothers in arms, toasts winking at deeper truths. His nephew's baptism, our role as god-uncles a playful nod to chosen legacies. Travels beckoned, a road trip down the Pacific coast, Highway 101 unspooling like our story, stops at Redwood Groves for awestruck kisses, motels with neon signs echoing bar nights past. Advocacy ignited purpose. We co-founded a mentorship program for LGBTQ+ youth, blending art and design to foster expression, sessions in community centers buzzing with breakthroughs. One evening, a teen shared her coming out letter, inspired by our real-life example, and in that circle, tears flowed, ours included, honoring the boy who'd once silenced his heart. It crystallized the human value, our pain, transmuted to purpose, lighting paths for others. Anniversaries layered meaning. The third marked with a vow renewal at that same pier, twilight mist cloaking us as we exchanged handwritten oaths. Mine, to cherish the silence we broke and the songs we'll sing. His, to you, my muse, my mirror, my forever. Friends gathered post-ceremony for a bonfire on Alki Beach, waves lapping like applause, stories of our dumbass delay drawing roars. Echo romped in the surf, shaking salt from her fur onto our laps, the scene a portrait of abundance. Reflections came in quiet moments, journaling by the fireplace, pinning gratitude lists, his laugh lines deepening with joy, my sketches bolder from his belief. We'd navigated tempests, a health scare with his legs' phantom pains, therapy reigniting intimacy, societal ripples, like election night vigils holding space for fear. Each fortified us, love's alchemy turning leaden doubts to golden trust. On the eve of our 4th year, atop Rattlesnake Ledge as snow dusted the evergreens, Jordan turned to me, breath visible in the crisp air. That 3 days, it wasn't the end, it was the pivot, showed me we're unbreakable. I pulled him close, city lights winking far below. And why ignoring love is the real accident. But we corrected course, together. Kisses sealed it, fierce against the wind, a vow to the horizon, to show up, always, in the kinks and the kinships. In the end, our tale wasn't epic tragedy redeemed, but everyday miracle, 2 souls, adrift in denial, docking in deliberate devotion. It whispered to the world, through canvases, designs, the lives we touched, that humanity thrives in honesty, romance in resilience, and the greatest stories begin not with perfection, but with the courage to begin again. As we descended the trail, hands linked, the path ahead clear and calling, I knew we'd never ignore the why again. For in each other, we'd found the how, to love, wholly, humanly, home.